Welcome back to Benny's Custom Works, proudly supported by Sparesbox. Today it's a very special episode. We're back at Sydney Dragway. This is literally the first day that the track's open. This is a Wednesday street meet. The track have put in place a short-term ban on motorsport-based tyres, so that means that today we can't run the Cresta. I had actually already bought a ticket. Basically the second they announced the track was open, I grabbed a ticket, but then they kind of revised the rules about 20 minutes after it was posted, so we've got the old workhorse out today. But the plan to do today is actually to do back-to-back between naturally aspirated and then supercharged. So the way we're going to do that is actually remove the silicon intake that goes onto the throttle body, and we're also going to disconnect the electronic clutch on the front of the blower so that effectively it's running NA. And then once we've got our baseline, we're going to put that silicon elbow back on and then get some boosted results. Let's get into it. This is it, the first day of racing on the new surface. This is a first in Australia. It's the first all concrete track, so I'm not exactly expecting to set the world on fire, but it's pretty cool to be here on the first day. So give it a little burnout, nothing exciting. I'm going to get pumped here by this Falcon. God, that's the slowest thing in the world. Wasn't a bad pass technically, but definitely wasn't a fast one. So we'll throw this blower back on and have a bit of fun, because that is boring. Thank you.
Thank you.
How bad was it? Oh, 17.4, that is slow AF. However, it gives us a good base result. So now we can throw the blower belt, or the blower bits, should I say, the intake elbow and the electrical side of it, and then we can have supercharger again and hopefully not run 17.4 at a lot of, nah, that's wrong, 20 mile an hour. Yeah, I don't think so. I think the timing might be not happy. Oh, triple O, sick. second run of the night. We're going to try and get into the left lane because the timing doesn't seem to be spot on the right lane. So the time card that we got on the first pass, the car in the left lane, the timing looked correct. So I'm hoping that for this particular pass we'll be able to go in the left lane. We're still running NA again because the data that we got from the first pass was garbage. I can't depend on that being accurate. I'm not so much fussed about the time. What I'm actually looking for is a correct mile an hour at the end of the track, because then once we put the supercharger setup back on, we'll back to back that and actually check to see the mile an hour difference. So that basically the mile an hour will indicate how much horsepower pickup we've got. I mean, there's a lot of calculations and online calculators to actually tell you the difference, but I mean it'll give us a pretty measurable gain anyway, so it'll be cool to see what it comes back with if we can actually get a half decent pass down the track with some accurate timing. Wasn't amazing, but it was good enough. We'll definitely throw the old supercharger setup back on at this run, or this next run. We've got the well, hopefully we've got a time card that's usable after that one. I did have a misshift on the gear, but I don't think it's going to be we're not going to lose 5 miles an hour from that, so it'll give us enough of a baseline that we'll be able to use it. If we get heaps of runs tonight, I might pull the intake off again and try and get another NA run, but being that the night's so full of cars, we may only get another 1 or 2 passes, so I don't really want to spend 2/3 of the night getting an NA run only to get a bad supercharged run. So it's good enough that it will work. It's not perfect, but it'll be close enough that we can use the information from it. Thank you. What did we go that time? 76 mile an hour, so that's good enough as a baseline. We can definitely use that number. From memory, that's pretty close to what it ran NA previously anyway, so that'll be close enough for us to use. First run with the supercharger. This will hopefully give us a pretty good mile an hour indication. I'm quietly confident of 5 mile an hour, but then again, I'm not a massive numbers wizard. Maddie's got a bit of a tally running on how many mile an hour we're going to pick up, so it'll be interesting to see what we get. But I just realised I don't know where my timesheet is, so hopefully I'll find that. A bit more of a warm-up. That's interesting, I didn't move and then now the car's in the beams. Sauce timing. Well, something's definitely going on because that's 50 now. Just keep accelerating for fun. It's definitely a lot quicker because I was now in 5th gear, so it'll be interesting to see how much mile an hour we actually picked up. But it felt pretty good. Like, you could definitely notice there's something going on. Like, it's not a, well, this thing's tunneling is definitely not in straight line speed, but it felt remarkably quicker compared to that first pass. Or the first 2 passes, should I say. Hopefully I can find that other timesheet, because if not, it's going to be a pretty boring video with no data to compare it to. But fingers crossed. I gave it to Adrian, I don't think he gave it back, so come on Adrian, I need my timesheet. Oh, it's hot. It hasn't got less hot. Even though it's got later in the night and darker, it's still like 1,000,000 degrees. Thank you. 88 mile an hour. So, I think we picked up 10 mile an hour. Or maybe even 12. That's a good result. 60 foot time you could have timed with a calendar. 2.4. That definitely felt quicker again, so it'll be interesting to see going back through what the timesheet says. The 60 foot was a lot better in that pass, but we're not really looking at the ET as much as we're looking at the mile an hour. The fellas that did have my timesheet still have it, but they've actually sent me a photo of it, so we'll be able to at least compare the data with that. And that's going to be us done for the night. We've got 4 runs in. The track's getting better with every pass, so I mean, a good track gets better with every pass, so even a bad track, the more rubber that you get down, the more heat you get into it, the more cars that go down it, the better it's going to be. So in the next couple of weeks, this track's going to be pretty good. Obviously, the track staff are spending a lot of time prepping the surface as well, so between those guys working around the clock to prep the track and more events on the race surface, is just going to get better and better. Like I said before, this is an all concrete surface now, so it's a first in Australia, and there's probably not as much information available as the track's probably required to set it up off the bat. But equally, they're just trying to get people on the racing surface as quick as possible. So rather than sort of spend months and months and months prepping it, they got guys in street cars now coming out, getting up and down the track. So at least there's cars back on the track, and hopefully, yeah, we've got a really good racing surface to be competitive and setting records on in the next sort of 3 to 4 weeks ideally. But yeah, I mean, even looking at this track tonight, yeah, from the first pass we had, it was like driving on ice, to that pass just then. Obviously the 60 foot was a lot better. I did do a little bit more of a bigger burnout the last 2 passes, but that's heated the tyres up, and it's allowed the 60 foot in the front half of the track to be better, but it hasn't actually hasn't affected the mile an hour as such. So the data that we're actually going to be looking at today, as I've already said, is the mile an hour, not the ET, because that mile an hour is actually what indicates the power level of the vehicle. Thank you. 15.3 at 88. We've had a pretty successful night overall. The car's performed really well. We got some really good back-to-back data on naturally aspirated versus supercharged. So we pretty much picked up about 10 mile an hour consistently. We saw a peak of 12 mile an hour, but I think that may have been slightly because of the misshift with NA. So yeah, pretty solid numbers looking at that. Our best ET supercharged was 15.3 at 88 mile an hour. So pretty good pickup. We did run this thing NA before, but the track temps weren't the same as what they are today. So it was good to be able to back-to-back that. The slip that I ran NA is actually on my phone because I gave it to someone, they took it home. So I've at least got that on my phone so we can review that. Anyone that's keen for Sparesbox stuff, please remember to use BCW5 as a discount code when you're on there. Thanks for watching, guys, and we'll see you next time.